Yamhada. No tainaan kiskut kaitain chimouchka sokatsin. Snaskund nanges bet schwemiat. Heb schmionakt. Ik not much videm. Snaskund nanges gaja noktain. Bet schwemiat. Utudishin stubiat. Chbuk seemt nan. Chibishop miat. Getchbuk seemt nan. Chibit miat. Kjitawit moon. Ne studiation ik aan schoeiem ta. Chitain. Spitsten sta. Chitet zijn gassen dissen tot maan. Amen.
Begynner okay, Stella and Tisha Hemsnadet, our agenda, proposed agenda, which I'm saying we have a copy of our number one, the chairperson, which is myself. I'll be chairing again this meeting this afternoon. Two, we have our recording secretary, Tanya Lamuro. And three, we have our meeting facilitator, which is Deputy Chief Thomas Jolly, sitting beside me. And four, we'll have our opening remarks by Chief Matthew Whabouchi. And five is, I guess, is the main. Today is on the agenda that Nemaskal Lithium will be doing a presentation, and Mr. Guy Barasa will be doing the presentation. Just maybe a small reminder for the purpose of these meetings is an information session for people to have an understanding of what Nemaskal Lithium is. And this is not the last meeting. There will be more meetings where people's input will be required when we discuss Nemaskal Lithium. So I would like to perhaps remind people that the focus should be on that, and we try to remain on topic, and I think we'll be able to proceed from there. So from this point, I would like to ask Chief Matthew Whabouchi if he can do the opening remarks. Good day.
Miigach Terry, miigach Gary, miigach Mse, Gadakshnieg Minchishu, Gadishigat. The only comments or points, reminders that I would like to bring out before we begin the afternoon assembly is I want to remind everybody that's in this room that everyone here is important, and whatever you have to share, whatever you raise, whatever questions, comments that you may want to raise is important. I'm sure that every time an individual walks up to that mic, feels that they have something that they'd like to share, and that it is important. So I want to ask that we try to keep that in mind, and that we try as much as possible to respect other people's right to be heard. And I ask that you be tactful in how you present your comments, your questions, your concerns. I ask that you do it with respect, and I ask that you respect the rights of others that may want to bring out questions, concerns, comments. Everyone has a right to be heard. I ask that we try as much as possible to stay on the subject of the presentations that are going to be given. I ask that we respect the time frame that we have this afternoon. This is the last afternoon of this assembly. I would imagine that there probably are people here that would like to present their comments, their questions, and their concerns. So I would ask that you try to make your points as tactful and as quick as possible so that we can hear others that are here with us this afternoon. Now, I'm going to share a little story before we begin. And this story goes back to years and years and years when our grandfather Noah built an ark, and in that ark there was all kinds of animals and creatures that were moved by the Spirit of the Creator to get on board for a very important reason. And those people that took grandfather Noah seriously as to why he built the boat, got on the boat too. Now, here's the funny part. There was, among all the animals and the birds, the fowls of the air that went on the ark, there was this woodpecker. Now, the woodpecker was valued and looked at and loved and was seen just as important as the big elephant, the big moose, and the goose. But there was one thing that Noah really had to pay attention, because everybody was in the same boat and there was nowhere to park this boat because of the flood. Noah had to be extra careful with this woodpecker. Every time he heard that woodpecker, he would turn around and make sure that that woodpecker was not pecking below the waterline. Because if he did, he would sink the whole ship. So it's maybe a joke, but in reality, I think it's something that's worth keeping in the back of our heads. I just wanted to share that. Bigat. Thank you.
Good day, Chief Matthew. Could be the Deputy Chief Thomas Jolly. She says you.
Good afternoon, Wajegumsat. In the last 2 days, we heard various people speak. We heard from the Deputy Grand Chief, and along with their support staff workers, Francois, their their lawyer for the process. Francois is from Gowlings. Alan made a presentation as well, along with Kelly from CRA. We also heard from George Whabouchi. George spoke of his experiences on what he had to endure or what he had to face with because there was a mine in his trap line. He spoke very well, profoundly about it, and he shared his experiences and what he had to went through. We also heard from the Cree School Board, or not School Board, Health Board. They made a presentation as well. Along with the negotiating team, we also heard from Bertie Whabouchi and Robert Kitchen as well, who are our negotiators from the Nimska Band Council. And there were many comments, questions throughout the past 2 days, and we'll keep those in mind, and hopefully some of them will be shared here today to Guy. I want to thank Guy for allowing himself and his crew to stay an extra day, because initially he was supposed to have been done, did his presentation yesterday, but I believe he understood what was required or what needed to be done here, so he gave us the time to get ourselves together and share our thoughts and information before we meet with him. So with that, I think we covered quite a bit in the last 2 days, and now we're here to have Guy present the lithium mine project. A lot of us, I think, we didn't see the site itself, and I'm not sure if we're going to see it here, but I did ask the crew here to go over and see it for ourselves as well too, for on screen. You did that this morning, Guy? Yeah. So without any further ado, I'll pass the mic back to our presiding officer. So thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Big wish, Thomas. Thank you, Deputy Chief Thomas Jolly. Our next presenter today, our only presenter today, I believe, Guy Barasa, the Nemaska Lithium, the Dwajum Stagag, Chish. So you guys know, I must get Kamyoga, the Pemega cell phones. I got the Taco. Didn't to go, Guy, and schuddig tistadega bit Dwajum Stagag, except Jap Pistal, mean I was 7 here, you guys make. So I'll pass the microphone to Guy, Mr. Guy Barasa.
Mr. Whabouchi, Chairperson, Deputy Chief Thomas Jolly, Chief Matthew Whabouchi, thank you for inviting us. We're very glad to take part of this 3-day working group. We were bound to hold open door meeting anyway, so we thought it was a good idea to join the two events together so that people would have fresh some comments on some information and would appreciate sharing additional comments with us. Before I start my PowerPoint presentation, I will invite you to view a little video that we did on the project. First, it's going to be played, it's only 4 minutes. It's going to be played in English. Then we're going to replay it with no voice, and our translator is going to do the voiceover on in Cree, not a translation, but a summary of what it means expressed in Cree. So please.
From the first breath ever taken on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
To the Earth's 5.6 billion cell phone users, lithium has been an indispensable part of modern technology. Nemaska Lithium, the next lithium hydroxide supplier. The Whabouchi Lithium project is located right here in northern Quebec, along the Route du Nord. The deposit is 280 kilometers north of Chibougamau and just 12 kilometers from the camp at Nemaska. Nemaska will be the residence of many of the mine's 100 employees. A good portion of the employees will also come from the Cree community of Nemaska. Training will be made available for people who wish to work at this important mining project. For every job created at the mine, many indirect jobs will also be created in support of the mine. Nemaska has advanced Whabouchi from grassroots to a production decision in just 3 years. This includes a major ground stripping program, 143 surface channels comprising 944 samples, in addition to 115 drill holes over 22,000 meters. The payoff for this work has been impressive. Whabouchi has rapidly become one of the world's richest and largest measured lithium resources. The initial in-pit reserves alone is enough to provide for 20 years of open-pit mining. From this pit, the company plans to extract initially about 20 million tons of ore, grading 1.49% lithium oxide. It will produce about 202,000 tons of 6% lithium oxide spodumene concentrate per year. A preliminary economic assessment by Metchem and BBA Inc. calls for a mine plan with a crushing circuit, processing plant, repair shop, tailings, and waste rock stockpile. The mine's open pit will grow in stages over the life of the mine. After blasting in the pit, hydraulic shovels and 56-ton haul trucks will move up to 3,000 tons of ore and 7,000 tons of waste material daily from the open pit to the crushing circuit and to the waste pad. In the crushing circuit, primary, secondary, and tertiary crushers grind the lithium-rich rock. The processing plant houses grinding, DMS and flotation, and other equipment, as well as a laboratory, utility rooms, reagent storage, and a spodumene concentrate storage and loadout area. The project also has an administrative office and maintenance garage for the mine equipment. From here, the valuable spodumene concentrate will be transported to a processing plant in Valleyfield, Quebec, to be transformed into lithium hydroxide and lithium carbonate. Nemaska Lithium is committed to protecting the environment surrounding Whabouchi. As a part of this commitment, the company has earmarked $8 million to protect the local environment and all its inhabitants. Mine closure or reclamation is a crucial component of every mining project's success that requires years of work and ongoing employment. At the end of the mine's life, the crushers, processing plant, and all associated buildings will be removed. The waste rock and tailings stockpiles will be revegetated on an ongoing basis during the operation of the mine. The open pit lake will be monitored as it fills with rainwater. Over time, the waste rock and tailings stockpile and open pit will become integrated components of the local wilderness for all to enjoy. To find out more about Nemaska Lithium and the Whabouchi Lithium Project, go to nemaskalithium.com or email us at info@nemaskalithium.com.
Check, check, okay. Ook mag we nooit jouw schwab die dat hoort en nooit snabbt snano de hewie boek hagnod en gawab sit skodelsni. En dan mag je daarbij sit skodelsni. Hou we zei daarbij hagnod sni geband en hou je jut skodel geband je jut abet ko gaat tak ab zenden geba bam te dag noko mag niet gaat gaastel beko neske hou daban. Tant mag je tukt een Whabouchi project. Oudend nemska zitten deze spisen modat op deze mountain lake en het stuur de behigen gaat god niet schochum dachtem nomi niet schochum no gedosh het snadet en te juenden mesknau. Niet shabbat de behigen het koko haugesh besnacht en zet anod camp nemesko. Skod de togun magen hi het skod mazanod neske tel das knagno doan je dabat sedom. Mag je schwapt meg hauge schnachten en te not snabbt snanod. Skodugunent en hauge no hitakon hits go je dabat stagnokon. Mag je sni hebi kognod nesken hi msen hi zaugum. Zwap deno en hau. Edi to dignod geban is zich jij is oosted en is sni hedi hemenignod ga je jut noksid ne hewapsid en triba daden hesh godel sni. Ook magen ze de bab ook ne hogenod en sni en doort agnod geba dan is bestid geban skodel sni. De wap den oten te bab ook ne hogenod skodel sni. Ook het mag jo shubid ook terug hagenod en skodel sni. En te mag hawap te mag ook ne de hauget ze to dagnod ga mon hagenod we hagenod en sni. Mag je schwapt meg dan is gewoon op tegen het gebouw die snakt o not snabbet snano de gwap den o was skaigen augutenten hou ze to kon hen gebas nie bi kognod mag je dan tegen nooit tak on higebaj go dabat stagno kon ne not snabbet snanod august se to dagnod how you kognod en sni dugne she shmon hizanod nest ge stagno ji de he shweb kognod en gebas nie gando itaksid. Mag niet snobben hebben buitgeban uit snabbet snano de hauge de schnacht. Ik had die jenagno en sneer gaan door het aksid, ik had de medursi jano. En gam just de haugen en zabi kognod. Ook een agagan door het aksid en deze hoji schweb kognod. En dan mag zabi kognod sni. En dan just de haugen en deze shabapo hagenod geban, deze shwe hagenod en deze shbugmo. Gemag en deze shauno dat valley field, he dat zei. Ook mag today to dog not giban sni. Shkodug mag ji shit nano de gibanut snabat snano de hat the pignod. I would have oxetax adon skyno ji wit sure with adon. Yago gibat digno optagno tenegibasti mingau ji amunak tagnot giba miament out shagnodon. Mshtoguj. Nishkaj gadishnagan and higaba was skagen go up to meg ji janigno con miam dan gibagaji. I dauchgad geban nooit meer te dan nooit gedees nach tagno get a jimmy nagnid ga wesis min gout a jit dead ten how gaji a dabat snanod. Agag was such a schnackten geban should tagnod ugibawi nut snabat snanod we kagnod na go opsid shkodel sni. Umagai hadoga wishing dot sit megan that gashte with online how that edition .ag nemaska lithium.com how that that swiyag.
So we'll start with the PowerPoint presentation. So I'm glad to be here again today to discuss and present some elements or all elements that you want to hear about the project. I would just like to remember our history. We started this project in October of 2009. Pardon me? Okay. And from day one, we did initiate discussion and communication line with the Italian James Whabouchi and with the band council. We were always in a communicative mode with the members of the community here. We did present the evolution of this project to the Annual General Assembly of 2010, 2011, and 2012. Since there was not much done in 2013, we were not invited. Anyway, we knew that we had open door meetings to do, so we started a environmental, economic, social impact assessment of the project back in 2012 that led to the filing of the final report in April of 2013. So the purpose of my presentation today is to summarize what we have looked at, what we asked our consultants to study, and the impacts that have been identified and the mitigation measures that we do propose. And one important aspect also is to talk about our negotiation of the RDPA, and more importantly, I would say, answering most of the questions that the members of the community may have on the direct impact on the population of our project. So, next page. First, we establish a radius of 10 kilometers around the project that is located about 5 kilometers east of Nemisco River, just north of Lac des Montagnes. It was decided that the radius of 10 kilometers around would be a good area to check the impact on the environment as far as dust, water, fish, animals are concerned. Obviously, as far as the social and economic impact are concerned, obviously we took into consideration the community of Nemaska that is about 25 kilometers to the west of the project. Maybe one thing that is important to reaffirm is our strong belief that this project and its location is one of a kind as far as Cree involvement is concerned. Of all the mining projects that are being looked at on the EUHC, this is the only mining project at a driving distance from a Cree community. So it must be approached differently, because it means that Cree of Nemaska don't even have to think about fly-in, fly-out, about special working weeks away from family. So we did take that into consideration. We also obviously took into consideration the fact that it might pose some problem because of the increase of people around the community. But we believe at the end this is very positive. And it is so positive in my mind that when we started discussions with the CRA and the negotiators for the Nemaska community, from day one, hour one, they said, Guy, we're going to be having a big, fierce negotiation. You don't know what we're going to impose on you about the percentage of workers we want to impose on you. I said, guys, please try me. I'm sure we're going to settle that in 2-3 days. Oh, Guy, it's going to be terrible. I said, give me a number. They didn't want to give me a number, so I gave my number. I said, guys, 100%. So they looked at me amazed. They said, Guy, you know we cannot provide 100%. I said, maybe not today, but in the future, you will be able. It is the only community that is at a driving distance from a mining project in the UHC. All of us together, we must find a way to make it work, because it is an exception and everybody must take advantage of it. So from day one, we said we prefer to put money in training of the Cree people of Nemaska and the Cree in general, but specifically the Cree of Nemaska as far as I'm concerned, instead of paying fly in and fly out and wondering every 20 days if the guy that is going south to his mate is going to come back. I prefer to put money in training you guys and girls, obviously, in general, so that you're able to take care of the kid, their homework at night. Eat your traditional food when you come back at home and help you grow with the company. This is on your traditional land, and I think we can together make it work. So with that being said, obviously every time I come here and I meet new people, I listen and I hear what you voice, and we try to find ways of improving the mitigation measures. Let's start with the site itself. I hope it shows clearly for you in the back. This is the overall mining infrastructure. And I did put some measures on it. It's 1.5 miles wide by 1 mile wide by 1.7 mile long. We worked very hard to have the smallest environmental footprint for that project. Obviously, it brings some questions and comments, and it may add to the discussions about social acceptability of location, for example, of the waste truck and stockpile. But we believe that we have put together a project that is the smallest footprint possible for the highest recovery of the value of the ore that is sitting there without jeopardizing, without causing problems or minimum problem for the environment around the mine site. Obviously, we're fully aware. From day one, we were fully aware of how close we are to Lac des Montagnes and to the Nemisco River. So that's why we tried to find a way to secure the project and to make it as safe as possible. Maybe it's important to remember, however, because the experience, what I gather from the discussions I have had with people for the past 4 years now, is that the only mining experience that I hear are back from Matagami or Chibougamau. Now, maybe Eleonore. All sulfur acid generating rock that is left there causing environmental problem. We all know about Chibougamau. This here is not acid generating ore. This is neutral. This is not gonna cause a problem like you have heard in the sulfur mines, the base metal mines. So we must look at it as I would say, a big quarry that will leave behind waste rock and inert, non-contaminated tailings from the concentrator. So, that being said, we have a quick view of where the open pit in yellow is going to be located and where we propose to locate the waste truck and tailing pile. For those of you who have a little mining experience, it is not common in Quebec, well, it is absolutely non-common at all, to have a waste truck and tailing in the same pile. This caused to us more expenses to be able to co-dispose of these two in the same pile. But because of the nature of the tailing and the fact that it is not contaminant, we're able to co-dispose and then have a very much smaller footprint of the project. Because if it was a normal mining operation with a tailing pound, you would double the surface of the area where you would need to remove land for other activities. So yes, it costs more. Yes, it's technologically more advanced. It is possible in this case because we looked at ways of reducing the footprint of this project. We looked, people from the start asked, Guy, where could you put that stockpile? Because obviously, I remember in 2010 when I did a visit with James, Nancy, and Reggie, walking on the ridge, I was explaining to them that we were going to build a lake or create a lake and build a mountain. Just trying to imagine what was going to happen while we were doing the mining operation and what it would look like at the end. And the comment of Reggie was, oh, gee, I've never seen a mountain grow. Well, me neither, but maybe we could do that together. But that raised immediately that question of, yeah, but visually we're going to be impacted. The Bible camp people are going to be impacted. The camp owners at Nemisco River that have a direct view, and there are very few, but some of them have a direct view on that portion of the land, will be impacted. So can you put your tailing somewhere else? So we looked at different alternatives. Obviously economical alternative, also environmentally acceptable alternatives. And we finished with this option, but we also studied, Chantal, option 2, just southwest of Spa-du-Main Lake, but this cannot go there. It would be the easiest one, the cheapest one, if it was on normal ground. But unfortunately, this is wetlands, this is muskeg. So absolutely not acceptable environmentally as far as we're concerned. So even if it was the cheapest, because closer to the mine, it was rejected. The other one, finally, was directly north, everything north of Route du Nord from day one. But then there was a technical problem. You need to divert the 735 kV line that goes there. This is a very, very long process, and I didn't expect Hydro-Québec to really accept that. And it would also, well, for us be more costly to transport there, but it would make a longer footprint on the territory. So that's how we finally came with the conclusion that the best place was the option 1. That's what we have presented in our study. That's what we have presented to the environmental agencies of Canada and Quebec. The Whabouchi project that has been presented to the agencies calls for a mine life of roughly 20 years. We're going to see in more details is about 20 million tons of ore at a rhythm of about 1 million tons of ore to be extracted every year. This should, if you put that into consideration, it's a stripping ratio of 3:1, so you would be removing 60 million tons plus 20, so 80 million tons over 20 years. That's 4 million tons of material being removed a year. Just for those of you who follow or hear the Osisco mining operation downtown Malartic, know that every once in a while they do a special blast of roughly 900 to 1 million tons. So in one single blast, they will be blasting what we will be mining in about 4 months. So this is, in all respect, a small mining operation. This is going to be, at the end, about, well, less than a mile long, about 1,000 feet wide, and 600 feet deep. I say initially because what we did present calls for an initial mine life of 20 years. But there is more ore in this project that lies under the 620 feet level. So If obviously we want to go further, we will have to resume that kind of sessions in 15 years from now and decide if we want to pursue the adventure. But because the adventure in front of you calls for 20 years, and that's what we're talking about. We will be, like I said, making co-disposition of the filtered tailings and the waste rock. That's one of a kind in Quebec. Tailings and waste rock piled in 2 phases. So the first 10 years, we will be south of Route du Nord. It will not affect Route du Nord. After 10 years, we're going to divert Route du Nord for 2-point-something kilometers to be able to expand the tailing and waste rock pile, as you've seen on the map. It's the release of the collected water from the tailing pile and the rain on the waste rock and tailing pile and the pumped water from the open pit are going to be released in Mountain Lake and Stream C. We're going to be seeing in more detail the different stream letters and names of some of the lakes as we go in the presentation. And it also calls for a progressive restoration of the tailings and waste rock pile. This is, in my vision, too small to really have a good assessment of what it all means, but we will be doing a concentrate of spodumene here. For those of you who took the time, because we did change the agenda, you didn't have all of you the opportunity to come by our booth and look at the different samples and what we will have as a final product here. But the ore is a green crystal, and what you want to have is as much green crystal as possible and remove the white rock that hosts that green crystal. So we do that in what we call a concentrator, removing what is not good. So it does not imply cyanide or other toxic chemicals like in a gold mine or a base metal mine. It calls for dense media separation, vibration table, screening, and finally flotation to have a concentrate and recover as much as possible of that spodumene. So I will go to the next slide, please. And this is a visual simulation of the site at the end of the mining operation. I would say the initial mine operation of 20 years of mine life. Like it said on the video, when we close the mine, we will be bound, and we did undertake, obviously, it's the regulations now, to remove all buildings and reclaim the land, remove the roads. We're going to be fencing and securing the open pit, and we will complete revegetation of the waste rock and stockpile. Now, for more details about the project phase, we believe that it's going to take about 18 months to 2 years of construction and mine preparation before the real mining operation starts. The real mining operation will last about 19 years, so that's why you're starting from year 2 to year 21. And you see rehabilitation of the pile, the waste rock and stockpile, starting year 6, going on, and it's only taking about a year after mine closure to complete the rehabilitation of the pile. And then closure means also removing the buildings, removing the roads, and securing the site. So that's basically the project timeline that we've presented to the different authorities up to now. A question, and obviously now we're going to come into the details of the impacts and mitigation. A lot of things, people ask me, yeah, but Guy, what does it bring us? You're only here for the money. You're going to leave that, and we're going to be stuck with this. What's in for us? One of the things maybe you have not realized while I was doing a presentation is that on the mine site, there's no camp. I reaffirm one thing. There is a Cree community at a driving distance from the site. There was no need to put a other camp on the territory. You guys as a community are co-owner of the Relais Routier. So it was really easy for us from the start to decide that to reduce the footprint, to make the community benefit more of the project, to use and give the opportunity to the Relais to increase its services, increase its capacity to host and receive people. And I'm sure that all of you here are already enjoying the new cafeteria that allows more than 24 people to eat at the same time. So it's one of the benefits that is already arising from our project that is not even yet built. So we are certainly looking forward to find ways of making as much benefit for the community as possible. This is for our own benefit. We're not here to make to throw money away. Like I said, it's a lot much better in the long term to invest in the training and communication and openness in the discussions between us than having people from the south fly here and go out every 21 or 20 days and look at somewhere else to work. That does not benefit anybody. So people say, yeah, but Guy, our youth has no scholarship, is not very well educated. We cannot have jobs there. Well, what are you going to do for us? Because this is a unique situation, because of the driving distance, we want to put as much as possible effort to pre-train and make accessible training pre-development of the mine for the people in Nemaska. I'll give you an example. In 2012, there was a heavy equipment training that took place. There was room for 15 people, 14 enrolled and 13 completed that close to 5-month training with great honors. And a lot of these students were females. So that's very, very positive. I'm glad. But this year, there was supposed to be a drilling and blasting training. You know that 7 days before the course was supposed to start, no one from Nemaska cared to enroll. I had to put Greg on the spot and tell Greg, as my liaison officer here, you take the phone, you take your truck, and you find me 6, 7, 8 people out of Nemaska to get that training. We are committed to help provide training, to help minimize the entry level for some of the jobs. But at the end of the day, we need people that wants to work. One comment I received one day, Guy, are you crazy? We're going to be working 10-hour shift, 5 days a week. I said, you know what? We thought of this, and we found a mitigation measure. We're going to be driving you to the job with a bus, so you can sleep to the job. And if you're too tired after 10 hours, we're going to drive you with the bus back to the village. But please, show that you want to come. We are open on this. And as an example, some people in other mining companies request a secondaire 5, 5th grade, to even apply for any jobs. Some people, some youth here came to me and said, Guy, we only have a secondaire 3. Can I even dream of having a job at the mine if you ever open the mine? I said, as far as I'm concerned, you don't need a secondaire 5 to be a heavy equipment operator. There is mining jobs, open pit mining jobs, that are not different than driving the grader or the heavy equipment on the road or in the quarry for the community. So, yes, there are opportunities. On the other end, we absolutely will never emphasis or put as positive that a kid stops school to come work at the mine before he's got his secondaire 5. But for those of them who dropped out, there will be possibilities. But again, one has to want to work. And we will make it possible. It's up to everybody. There are jobs that are more, are requesting more specific education. I'm talking about electrician, millwrights, mechanic, heavy equipment mechanic, operator at the concentrator. This is things that people can be trained at. I'll give you an example as far as training for the mining operation is concerned. While we will be in the construction mode for the concentrator, yes, there will be a lot of people from the south, specialized construction people. But during that time, there is no reason we cannot train the mining employees while doing the pre-stripping and mine preparation. So there's all sort of possibilities that are open for people interested. But listen, I could talk about this for hours and hours, and I know that you guys are tired of 2 days of real big exchange. So we'll go directly to the subject of one of the aspects, and François Dandonneau talked about it in details, and Bertie and Robert answered the questions, but I just want to confirm how it is going on the negotiation table, what it is covering. A lot of families and tallyman ask me, yeah, but why don't you deal directly with us? Why aren't we invited there? Because there's a Cree mining policy that was adopted by the CRA in the past. And as an outsider, we must obey by these rules. But we made sure, because of our understanding and our relationship that we had developed since 2009 with the tallyman, that it was important to make sure that the people were respected and were protected. So the main objectives of the Resource Development Partnership Agreement, some of you may refer it as Impact Benefit Agreement, all of that was said by François, I confirm. And I confirm that we will come to an agreement to the benefit of everybody. And that provides for, obviously, social acceptability of the project. But I think the most important thing is communication. Communication. Yes, there is a lot of committees, well, as far as I'm concerned, a lot, but maybe 4 committees, François, with the Whabouchi Implementation Committee on top of it, with the Cree of Nemaska sitting on it, majority versus the CRA, which is showing the importance of the Cree community. But it's also showing that there will be an open line of discussion, and if anything happens, it will immediately be brought to the attention of all the parties involved. Everybody wants to make it work. So it's maybe, I would say, the objective that is the most present. The rest, the training, the financial matters, that comes secondary. If you don't communicate at the beginning, you will not need the rest of it, because there will be no mining project. So I will not take too much time of this, because our friend François did a good job yesterday. Like I said, we will go on the information consultation activities slide. Yeah. So just a reminder, we started in 2009, long before we started the environmental and social impact assessment on the project. We have met many groups in the community, tallyman, elders, hunters, trappers, youth, women, local authorities, name it. Every time I come here, I try to meet somebody different. I don't have always the opportunity, but when I do, I take the time and I listen. Finally, we had to create a more defined panel to feed the environmental and social impact assessment review. So our consultants decided to create a community advisory panel, a CAP panel. It was created in 2012, and I believe we met 3 times. Between 12 and 16 people did participate to this advisory panel. We also had a lot of discussions with representatives from different community entities to identify, discuss, and exchange on mitigation measures. So we took all of this and we included it in the report that was filed. And again, you have a copy here at the band office. You have it on the internet on the Canadian Environmental Review Committee. We will gladly make it available to anyone who wants to have a copy or wants to have it by internet. You can see from the following slide that I have a Nemaska kit, because you'll see that the same square on my shirt and the same color on my sweater. And these 3 pictures have been taken about a year and a half away from one another. So when I come here, I have my Nemaska suit and I come. So what it means is that I come often, and when I come, I take the time it takes to have a really worthwhile discussion, which we're going to have when I open the floor for the comments. What were the comments, main comments that were raised by people? The dust, obviously, on the Route du Nord, the dust also on, to be generated by the mining activities and its potential impact on the camp owners on the Nemaska River, the noise that will be generated by the mining activities, mainly the blasting was raised by people, water quality, we all agree on this, in Mountain Lake and the Nemaska River, the modification of the landscape, obviously it's not the open pit that raises questions, is the waste rock and tailings pile. And finally, not the least, safety on the Route du Nord. One aspect I maybe have not yet mentioned is that we will be trucking about 200,000 tons of concentrate to Chibougamau per year. If you put that into semi-trailer trucks, on the video you saw a B train, but we're not certain if the road, not the road, but certain hills will permit to use B trains. So let's use a figure of semi-trailer truck. It means that 16 trucks per day will go south. So it means that 32 trucks are going to pass on a single point every day. So every 45 minutes there will be a truck on the Route du Nord. Obviously, that's a concern to me, that's a concern to everybody on the road. Obviously, winter is not a problem, there's no dust. When it rains, there's no problem, there's no dust. It does not rain and it's summer, it's dusty. So we're trying to find ways to minimize this. Obviously, using larger, not larger, but B trains would diminish the number of trucks, but it's not certain. Oh, yes, please. Seems that my translator has a problem with my speed. Sorry about this. But that's one of the issues that was raised. We will address some of these in the following slides. Just to remember that Kelly and Alan did present about the timeline of the structure of the consultations. We will have the Canadian Environmental Agency public hearings sometime in November. I'm not sure yet of the exact date, but early November here. COMEX, we don't know yet. We don't expect to have that before February or March of 2014, hopefully to give us a break, everybody here, because we're going to be tired if they come back in November talking about this. So, if we go in details in some of the aspects that were covered by the impact assessment review. physical environment. So checking on air quality, how will impact the air quality, the ambient noise, ambient light, soils, hydrogeology and groundwater quality, hydrology, surface water and sediments quality. Obviously, we cannot go, and I'll wait for your specific questions on this because that's over about 800 pages, excluding the attached appendix reports that are over 1,000 pages themselves. We cannot go in all the details, but I will gladly answer questions, specific questions. We also looked at studied the biological environment, so vegetation and wetlands, fish and habitat, amphibians and reptiles, mammals and birds. Social environment, obviously, we had sessions with land and users, camp owners, tallyman, of course. We reviewed cultural and archaeological heritage. We talked about employment and economy, the community wellness, the landscape, as well as the community infrastructure, because sometimes it can create more problem than it solves when you come with a larger project than what the community can accept. As far as air quality is concerned, the impacts that we've identified is the emission of dust and obviously the increase in the greenhouse gases emissions. What are the mitigation measures that we've proposed? Ensure adequate maintenance of heavy machinery, vehicles, and equipment. A good portion of the increase in the greenhouse gases and the emission of these greenhouse gas is the equipment that is not well maintained. So you make sure that you have an adequate maintenance on the equipment that's going to minimize that impact. As far as dust is concerned, you have to visualize the source of emission of dust that are going to be generated by the project. There's about 1.5 kilometer road from the mine to the concentrator. So there will be 4 mining trucks going back and forth to dump or at the concentrator, and some of them going on the waste truck and stockpile. This is going to be a gravel road, so obviously it generates dust when you go on it. So there will be a 30 kilometers speed limit on that site so that you generate less dust. In addition, we will be applying either a dust control agent or water on these roads. So we know that we will be controlling the dust generation possibility of the service roads. As far as the other main source is the crushing plant at the entrance of the concentrator. This will be equipped with dust collectors, will be enclosed, and dust will be controlled that way. Finally, the other potential dust generation is the dumping of rock and waste on the waste truck stockpile and tailing. The tailings themselves, they will be a little humid, so they will not be generating dust. So only the big rocks may possibly generate dust. If it ever happens, we will take measures to control it by sprinkler or other water application. Noise. The impact of noise, obviously the mining operation will increase the ambient noise levels. To give you an example this morning, well, obviously I'm sure everyone here knows because you're from that land, it's yours, and you know that it's very quiet. We were filming this morning with the crew, and they thought they had a problem with the mic. It's only because it's an automatic mic that needs to be triggered by ambient noise. Gee, there was not enough noise in the forest to start the mic. So it means it's very quiet. So obviously, we will have an impact. So how do you mitigate this level of noise? You install operational and effective silencers on equipment, heavy machinery, and vehicles. Again, by limiting the speed limit to 30 kilometers on the mine site, you will reduce speeding and the noise that goes with it in the vehicles. The fixed motorized equipment like generators, there will be a generator to power the lights once the mine is in the open pit. So this will be enclosed or in soundproof fixed equipment. And we'll also schedule the noisiest work during daytime, obviously to make sure that we do not disturb or have the minimum impact on the people that have camps and use their camps in the Misco River. One other big source of noise, potential noise, is the dumping of the waste rock on the pile. We will be putting special liners, rubber liners in the trucks so that it does not create the same level of noise as if it was directly on steel. Surface water. What impact? Modification of the surface water quality, wood debris, suspended matter, possibility of accidental water contamination. There is a pound called Lake 29, no entrance, no exit. It's a enclosed bowl of water, but it's called Lake 29. It's going to be dried out and it's going to be covered by waste rock and tailings pile. So possibly that's one of the discussion we are having with the Canadian agency review. And the potential overflow of the pit after the mine closure. So mitigation measures. There will be no fueling points near water bodies or streams. We will collect and treat all water. Maybe it's important also to just restate that all the water is going to be collected there is rainwater or underground water. What is going to be given back to Mountain Lake after the pounds, settling pounds is essentially rainwater that is going to be collected to make sure that there's no suspended matter that are directed to the to Mountain Lake. We also will obviously implement a prevention and response plan. We do not claim and we do not believe that there will be never have a spill or an accident. Nobody works to have an accident. Nobody works in the vision that there will be one, but everybody should be aware that it is possible and be prepared for it. So implement a prevention, obviously prevention, so that it does not happen. And if it does by any accident, then there's a response plan ready to be implemented. We also install a spillway to direct the potential overflow. As far as fueling is going to be done at the garage, and where the fuel is going to be, the refueling is going to be done, is going to be in a little basin that if there's a spill, it remains, it does not go, it's going to be all concrete, sealed, so that we minimize the possibilities of the contamination. And obviously, monitoring and follow-up programs. The environmental committee that will be in place under the RDPA, that's one of the jobs. Make sure that what we said, what we will be undertaking when we receive our certificate of authorization, we do, and we obey by the rules, and we believe, and we obey what we undertake. So you will be present on that committee. Everybody will have the possibility to talk, and measures will have to be taken. Fish. The impact will come from the disturbance of fish in streams C, E, and F. Maybe it's going to be easier when we have a large map and we look at it after the question or during the questions period. But yes, there will be disturbance of fish And some people saw as an impact increase in the fishing pressure. So we have already agreed to forbid fishing within the limits of the mining lease and use lease. But like I answered back to the Canadian agency and even to our friends of the CRA, we will obviously have no problem with this because of on the mining lease and the lease for usage. There's no lake, so we cannot fish there. But obviously, I understand the point that it's about Mountain Lake and Nemisco River. We obviously will also have employees that will be staying at the Nemisco camp. They will be driven here by bus and come also by plane. So they will not have their cars. So the likelihood that they, after 10 or 12 hours shift, walk back 10 kilometers to go fish on the mountain lake is remote. But we will have definitively a politic about the awareness of everybody about the fishing pressure and the impact it can have on the inhabitant here. And at the end of the mining, we'll rehabilitate the impacted portion of Stream C. Wildlife. Yeah. So, impact. Disturbance to animals. Loss or alteration of habitat. Collision with vehicle machinery. And obviously, harvesting pressure on wildlife. These are impacts that have been identified. The mitigation measures, again, the limit of the driving speed to 30 kilometers on the mine site will have a direct effect and minimize the possibility of collision with wildlife on the mine site. Obviously, as far as the Route du Nord is concerned, we will impose a strict speed limit to our truck drivers, not 70 kilometers an hour, because one of the impact that I was told by one of the Nemaska member is that if we impose 70 kilometers an hour, it's too dangerous because they were going to fall asleep. So we're going to find a way of having them not sleep, but not be the speeding, dangerous truck that we don't want to meet on the road. Me, myself, I always try to find positive things about everything. And when I think about these 16 or 32 trucks on a single point every day, I see it as a safety measure. Because you all know, because you go to Chibougamau by the Route du Nord sometime, it's kind of lonely at night. It's kind of very lonely at night during the winter. It's kind of very lonely anytime. I've driven here numerous times, and I don't believe that I've never met more than maybe 7 or 8 trucks or somebody to help me if I had a problem. I would be very, very glad during the winter if I had an accident to see one of these 32 trucks come by. So just to tell you that there is always positive aspect to a possible impact. We will also forbid hunting and trapping activities to employees within the limits of the mine site. That's quite obvious for obvious reason, but also to minimize the pressure on harvesting. Land and resource use, impact. Obviously, modification of the hunting, trapping, and fishing activities near the mine site. That's one of the reasons, because of that known impact, obvious impact, that we are trying to have as small as possible footprint of the project. And again, I repeat, people talked about Troilus yesterday. That's an interesting project to look at, to have an idea. But give you an idea, our project is 1.6 miles long by 1 mile wide. Troilus is close to 6 miles long by about 2.5 miles wide. So I feel Troilus is a very good example. Imagine, we're about 3 times smaller as the footprint is concerned. So that's interesting to always remember that. Put everything in perspective. 50-ton trucks. When you go at the relais routier, the off-road trucks there are 36 tons. So we're talking about equipment that is normal here, that is known to the people here. We're not talking about the 300-ton truck. You can fit 2 or 3 of my trucks in the back of these trucks at a Cisco. So it is a small mining operation that is at the size of the community, that it can grow with and be learning from it. The land and resource and obviously it will also limit access to trapline areas modified by the presence of the mine. Obviously, and like I said, the way we're trying to make it work is by having the smallest footprint. But that being said, there's also harvesting activities that will be impacted or could be impacted by the project. So from day one, we agreed on the fact that there would be no extraction activities during goose break because we recognized from day one the importance of goose hunting on Mountain Lake. So we're so close to the bay that we didn't want to add pressure or get the geese to go away. So we agreed, and it's going to be in the RDPA, that's an undertaking, that there will be no mining activities during the goose break. Obviously, we'll install adequate signs at intersections close to the mine for safety purposes. And we have also specific measures under discussion with impacted land users. You will see in a couple of slides, most of the camps at Nemisco River. There are a lot of peoples that use this area, and it is important. We met most of them, some that we did not have the chance to meet yet because they were not present when we came. We will have the time. It's very difficult for everybody, even us, to imagine what it will like and how it will impact the blasting. We have the flexibility of blasting when there's no cloud, because when there's clouds, the noise travels sideways and it can reach long distance. It's going to be annoying for people. We will only be making 2 blasts per week. So we have the flexibility to minimize the impact. But as long as we don't start the mining operation, people cannot say, Guy, I'm going to be so impacted I want to be moved. Or Guy, let's wait, see, and please tell us that you will be open for discussions. That's what we confirm to everybody. That as we evolve, everybody in that respect, and you see the map that we've done on the screen of all of the camps that we have visited, people that we've talked to, and to try to see, will you have a visual impact on it? Everybody knows the Bible camp. The Bible camp has a direct view on the mining operation. They will be very, very visually impacted. I don't believe they will be very impacted by the noise. I'm very confident that nobody is going to be impacted by the dust. But visually, some people ask me, Guy, is that pile going to throw some shade on my camp? Well, obviously, it's impossible. But when you realize that people have that thinking or that vision, it's because, like me, they cannot imagine what that pile is going to be looking like in 25 years. So it means that somebody's concerned. So what I said, let's live with it, look at it, and we will adapt to it. If it really, really, really bothers you and you don't want to be there anymore, we will find a solution. And solution, it comes from communication. And again, the first thing we did put together in front of that RDPA is communication. So again, that's exactly what we are doing. Employment and economy, obviously there's going to be an impact because there will be job creation. There will be pressure on those of you that don't want to work or don't believe that they can have a job at the mine, feel that they will be rejected, that's obviously a big impact. We will try to minimize that as much as possible. Imagine a negative impact written by our consultants in that assessment as negative is for a Cree to receive a high salary. Made me sick. Made me sick to read this. I said, how can it be a negative impact to have a big salary? So people said, Guy, you know, they're going to be spending a lot of money, maybe more than they earn, because they will see big checks, and you're going to create more pressure on the social environment, etc., etc. So I said, well, François, what do you think we should do? Well, Guy, my experience is that we should include in the RDPA that you fund a specific family budget training program for the employees of the mine. Well, that's a good suggestion. So, again, we believe that there will be an impact. There will be impacts with an S, but we believe that there are possibilities of finding mitigation measures that will make it work for everybody. There will be business opportunities for local and regional companies. François said it yesterday in the RDPA. We insisted ourselves very much, and I stated very clearly to all of you today, we insisted that it has a Cree content. We will not accept to, how would you say that, prête-nom, François? Front companies, because a Cree owns 51% of a company, but all non-Crees are working for it. For me, it's not a Cree company. I told the CRA and I told the negotiators from Nemaska, you get your people in the company, we're going to help them understand how it works if they need that, but I don't want any front company because it's not the purpose that we want to serve. And again, don't forget, and please, say it to your friends, say it to yourself. We are the only mining community at a driving distance of a project. The only place where I can have a long-term employment that will allow me to take care of my kids at night, make sure they stay at school, they do their homework, have my traditional food, and take care of my family. This is exceptional. That's once the only project in all of the USG. You are very, very lucky about this. Well, we all already talked a lot about landscape. We could go. Well, obviously, monitoring and follow-up programs. Again, there will be different committees that will follow up all of the air quality, the water quality, be it underground or in the lakes, the quality of the final effluents and surface water, fish, land and resource uses, as well as employment and economic spin-offs. One thing that maybe François did go over rapidly yesterday in his presentation, yes, every year we have to make a list available of the contracts that are going to be awarded. There's going to be a tendering process. He all said that. But there's also a process by which we will have to try to sit down with a Cree company that has not been awarded the contract to try to understand why you did not win the contract. Or it's not a lottery, it's not a winning. You have to be awarded a contract because you deserve it. If somebody does not have a contract, we will sit down with him and explain why he didn't have, so that the next year or next time we go in tender, he will make sure that he is awarded that contract. So again, as a company, as a mining project, there is no reason for us to pay mobilization and demobilization of a contractor to come work here when we are at a driving distance from the people and the companies. So if you guys want to have the contracts, you guys want to run the mine, you're more than welcome. We'll help you do it. So I think I would say miigwech. And just a last joke before I end you the mic. You know that when we started the first negotiation round, the first meeting, I asked Robert and Bertie, how do you say in Cree, White Mountain? So they told me, well, two different names. No, they pronounced it two different ways, and it ended up being Whabouchi. When I met James Whabouchi after that, I had met him numerous times before, but one day I come with a presentation about the Whabouchi project. Guy, what's this? What do you mean, what's this? So I thought that my two friends played me a joke, and that it was a dirty word or something. He said, well, it means White Mountain. He starts laughing, he says, White Mountain. Finally, I asked about, I would say about 10 Crees the same evening, different place, and I recorded 10 of them. I said, how do you say White Mountain? I had 10 different pronunciations. But the one that sounds most likely is Whabouchi. So Whabouchi is White Mountain, and this is your project.
Thank you, Mr. Guy Brossa. Maybe at this time we can take a little break, maybe 5 minutes, and we'll maybe take the time to think of the presentation with questions that you might have, because we'll have the question period following the break. Agora?